Hi, my name is Marelena. I'm here in Mexico in San Cristobal to talk about the Occupy Wall Street movement in the United States and New York specifically. One story is that there was an ad placed in an alternative magazine that comes out of Canada but is popular in the United States radical subculture. It's called Adbusters. And they placed a one-page ad in like June or July in their magazine that had a picture of the Wall Street Bull, it's a famous statue down on Wall Street, and said September 17th, Occupy Wall Street. And then people in New York started organizing around this because actually the people in Adbusters weren't organizing, they just made an advertisement. So people in New York started organizing. The call called for 20,000 people to come down to Wall Street on September 17th and set up an occupation to protest like economic injustice as well as a number of other issues. I think a lot of the people who are organizing it and a lot of the people who went on the first day expected it to be maybe like a 1 or 2 day thing, like just like a oh yeah, occupation, okay, and now we're all arrested. And that's not what happened. What happened is that more and more people started coming and there was more and more media presence, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And this, I think, is in response, that was not in response to the Adbusters ad, that's in response to a lot of things. I think that because of the Arab Spring and like recent activity in Europe, including like Greece and Ireland and all over the place, there's and the M15, the Indignados in Spain, there's sort of like revolution has been in the popular imagination like around the world and in the United States. I think that, you know, a lot of people are responding to, in 2008 there was a financial crisis in my country and our economy was on the verge of collapse, and in response our government gave a few $1 trillion over to shore up the banks so that our currency didn't collapse, and that money came directly from taxpayer money, and it was sort of a like, we'll shore up the economy and then everyone's lives will get better kind of a sell, and that's not what happened. And so there's lots of people who are their houses are being foreclosed on. There's lots of people who don't have health care, and so they have to go into lifetime debt, which their children are going to inherit just to be able to like save their lives. Like I've heard stories of people who have like sat down with their families and talked about whether it's an economically better decision for them to kill themselves or not, you know? There's students who are in massive amounts of debt, like they come out of undergraduate and they've got like $200,000 worth of debt, you know? There's sort of widespread scarcity, growing scarcity in the United States, in a population that, like, some populations have been used to poverty and scarcity for a long time, but there's been a pretty solid American middle class for a number of decades that are now starting to feel like, oh, this is our nation's wealth disappearing. And that's all, you know, I mean, that's been happening around the globe for centuries, you know, but this is sort of like the beginnings of like the truths of like living in a globally neoliberalized economy, like beginning to come in and like touch American families and like affect them. And I think that has a lot to do with why this moment, rather than other moments in the past or other sort of like flames that have tried to ignite the fire, like that's why it's being ignited now.